Good evening, honorable judges. My name is Zach. Before we start this debate, it is important to identify what this debate is primarily about and what the main clash is. You see, this debate is primarily about two solutions to one problem. The first solution is reducing the disaster's impact in a disaster-prone area in order to protect the people that are in it. The second solution is, instead of reducing the disaster's impact in this area, you remove the whole population away in order to protect them. Some key definitions to make here. Disaster-prone areas are locations frequently affected by natural hazards. Examples include tsunamis, floods, hurricanes, and the list can go on and on. Disaster mitigation is action taken by a state to reduce the impacts of the disaster to protect the people that are in that area. Relocation, on the other hand, is an action taken by a state to remove the whole population in that area to protect them from the disasters instead of reducing the disasters themselves. How do we characterize this debate? Well, we characterize this debate by explaining which solution is the most effective, which solution has the most amount of trade-offs, and which one reduces the most amount of harm. Now, there are three important things to prove in this debate. Which solution reduces the most amount of deaths, which solution protects the most amount of people, and which solution has the best long-term sustainability and effectiveness in the long run. Now, side opposition can argue that relocation may be necessary sometimes in some extreme scenarios. However, extreme and minor scenarios and cases are not a justification for relocation to be the primary and default approach to this one problem. With that being said, we can move on to what each of the sides on this debate has to prove. Well, as proposition, we have to prove four fundamental things. Firstly, mitigation is more effective in comparison to relocation. Secondly, mitigation is more realistic and scalable in comparison to relocation. Thirdly and lastly, relocation, although it does protect the people from the disasters, it comes at significant costs. Costs such as social economic harm. We as proposition believe that these significant costs outweigh the benefits of relocation by a large margin. And because of that, relocation is not a superior alternative than mitigation. Now, with that being said, we can move on to our primary arguments. Our first argument from proposition is that mitigation reduces the risk for populations living in hazardous zones for a various number of reasons. Firstly, projects such as building dams, drainages, earthquake-resistant buildings will protect a large number of population lives without needing for mass relocation. Because let's be honest, not everyone is financially and economically stable and capable of moving from their own local homes. Relocation only helps a selected amount of people who are capable of doing this. Many people will be left behind due to cost or economic conditions. And because of these factors, mitigation is a superior alternative rather than relocation, because mitigation will apply to everyone. It will guarantee safety for everyone living in that area, whereas relocation only guarantees safety for those who are capable of affording to move to another area. Moving on to our next argument, relocation causes major social and economic harm. What do we mean by this? Well, when people move from their own geographical location, this means some people will lose jobs that are tied to their geographical location. Examples are farmers, fishermen, and local businesses, and the list can go on and on. When they move from their own local houses, they lose community ties, they lose networking, and etc. Not only that, but new areas will not guarantee equal opportunities and infrastructures that were in their own previous home. Because of these various factors, poverty, unemployment, and instability will result from relocation. Therefore, although relocation does guarantee safety, it comes with a significant cost. That is, reducing the quality of life, precisely the quality of life of low-income people. Thirdly, mitigation is more realistic and sustainable in the long run. What do we mean by this? Relocation is not easy, let's be honest. Relocation is expensive and costs a lot of money for the reasons that we've just said before. Secondly, relocation is difficult to implement by the state because not every community will agree to do this, because not every community is capable of moving from their own geographical homes. Thirdly, mitigation works with existing settlements instead of forcing displacement. Because of these reasons, mitigation is more efficient, applies to a larger number of people, and doesn't depend on the financial and economic stability and capability of the residents. With all that said, this debate is primarily about which solution has the least amount of trade-offs, which solution is more effective, and which solution can actually guarantee safety for everyone as a whole. On our side, as proposition, we proved that mitigation has the least amount of trade-offs, protects the most amount of people regardless of their economic stability, and also is just more efficient overall. That being said, yes, the state should absolutely prioritize disaster mitigation as opposed to relocation, because it is far more superior. Proud to oppose.